morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. We're going to get started. All is well, and I can rest. I am safe. All is well. All is well. And I can rest. And I am safe. All is well. All is well. And I can rest. I am safe. All is well. And all is well. And I can rest. And I am safe. All is well.
As the beautiful sounds of the bell and the words of the music resonate in this room and out, that no matter where you are, God is there. For there is one life, one divine presence, and that presence is God. That presence is a part of me, and being a part of me, it is a part of you. And so, as we come together this morning, allow that presence to permeate every part of your being. Feel it in your heart. Know that everything is in divine order for this service. The music is so beautiful. The young men who are doing our recordings are so talented to bring us to you in your homes. Reverend Sharon has prepared a message for us to teach us more about what we believe as a spiritual center. So knowing that everything is in divine order, I just release my words. I let it go, and so it is.
Good morning. Welcome. It's good to see you all. Standing in front of Joanna, I can't do that. So we are a welcoming, inclusive community. We know that there's a power for good in the universe, as our founder Ernest Holmes would say. It's always available. In fact, it's the very core of our being. We are the presence of the divine, uniquely expressing our gifts, our wisdom, which is always right here. So thank you for being with us as we have a time together of spiritual community, of time of inspiration, a time of connection, a time of lifting ourselves up to always live from that place of knowing our own divinity. And here's the hard part for me. No, it's not hard. It's easy now, right? Is to see the divine in every one we see. That's pretty amazing. In spite of behavior, there's something there. Just needs to be healed. Maybe if they're being bad. I should stop talking. I'm sorry. Anyway, good to have you with us. Is anybody here for the first time? If you'd like to let us know, we'd love to say thank you for being here. Oh, welcome. So good to have you. Thank you for being here. We do have a sign-up sheet. We send out a weekly email telling you about the activities. If you'd like to sign up on that, give us your email address. We'd love to include you. So thanks for being here. We're going to start with a song, and I invite you all to stand. We have a wonderful, our congregational chant is Alive with the Spirit of God. Take it away.
Ready? I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, y'all. Alive with the Spirit of God. Again, I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, oh, alive with the Spirit of God. One more time. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, oh, alive with the Spirit of God.
We are alive with the Spirit of God. So in that spirit, this is our time of having a moment of gratitude. It's a time of taking a pause, and we can do this any time during the day, and it just shifts us sometimes. Take a moment, and I invite you, if you wish, to close your eyes and take a breath. And just pause. Invite some stillness into your mind and body. And I invite you to think of something you're grateful for, something that brings you joy. Just notice what shows up. Breathe that gratitude for this joy into your heart. Let it grow and expand so that you are just a bubble of joy. Of light, of love, of life. Feels so good. And whenever you're ready, begin to come back to this moment and open your eyes whenever you're ready. It's so fun to do that. Just take a moment. I'm loving this practice. And so now we have a reading from our practitioner of the day, Julie Nims.
Good morning. The reading this morning is from 365 with Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. I think it was our book for last year, but anyway, I came across this beautiful reading from 2 Corinthians. I use the power of God. The God of love and peace shall be with you. And that's 2 Corinthians 13:11. Have we really tried God? Since all other methods have failed, a divine compulsion is laid upon everyone to find the power of God and make use of it. It's not merely a new theory about God that we are looking for. Rather, it is the actual power of God that we must harness. What we need is the direct experience of a conscious contact with the divine. God is pure spirit, filling all space. This pure spirit animates your every act. There is a real you which lives in a real God, and the two are one. To know this is to understand the secret of life. To realize this is to understand your relationship with the divine presence. To realize that the law of God is written in your own mind, and it's available to you, a power that you can meet your every need. Right now, I feel a flow of energy, light and love, filling my entire being. I know that I am one with an infinite presence that fills my life with peace, harmony, and joy. I let go of all negative beliefs and affirm that love is transforming my life today. And so it is.
And now we have some special music from our beloved music team, Joanna and Mike.
All right. One second. Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. And birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream for me. Say nighty night and kiss me. Just hold me tight and tell me you miss me. While I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream a little dream for me. Go on, Mike. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams to leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream for me. Say, dream a little dream for me. One more time. Dream a little dream for me.
I wanted to dance, did you? Seriously, that was like perfect for a dance. Where's my honey? Let's waltz. No, it's not a waltz. Let's just move slow. Well, so today we're having something special after the service. We're having a kind of a new member welcome orientation, who we are and what we're doing. And so I thought I would do today's talk about what is science of mind, living the science of mind, and where did we come from and what do we believe? Just because even for me, it's always good to kind of go back and remind myself of all those things. So Ernest Holmes was the 9th of 11 children, born on a farm in Maine, and I understand they mostly grew rocks there. He had an 8th grade education, and they called him the big question mark because he was always curious. He questioned everything. They would go to church and he would question everything. And his parents were pretty liberal. You know, they went to a Christian church, and he challenged a lot of stuff, but his parents did as well. And so when he was 19 years old, he read Emerson. And he said that was like drinking fresh water to him. It just shifted his view of the world. Because Emerson teaches you that I think I actually have a quote by him, not on there, but here. He says, be yourself. It's easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live a life after your own. But the great man is he who in the midst of a crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. Emerson tells us, don't speak your true word, and speak it strongly out to the world. Don't care what all those other people think. And I think it gave Ernest Holmes his voice. He was a purchase agent in the city of Venice for the school district, and he was an avid reader. He read philosophy, he read the Bible, he read other sacred texts, world religions. He was also curious about science. He wanted to stay up to date with what was happening scientifically, and he really believed that science and spirituality would come together, that they would be partners, that they would agree on life. And we've seen that as science has moved forward, we see that we confirm a lot of our beliefs. Well, actually, all of them. That's how it works in the universe, right? So he started just when people would come in to his office there at the school, he would talk to them about the things he was reading. And this woman said, hey, would you come to my home and talk to a group of people? I'm just going to invite some friends over because they would love to hear this. So we just started talking in his home, and finally he rented a hall. I'm trying to remember the statistics, but it's something like he charged a quarter and he was hoping to get enough to pay for the rent, and he did. But eventually then he's speaking in the Ebell Theater in Los Angeles to thousands of people. I had a member of my community, more than 20 years ago probably, who told me how Ernest Holmes changed his life. He was walking down the street, and this little man was out there hawking, come in, you're going to hear something that'll change your life. Come on in, you got to hear this lecture, it's fabulous. Come on in. So he said, I went in, I was a new young insurance salesman, so I went in. And the same little guy got up on the stage, and that was Ernest Holmes. And he changed his life. So that's who Ernest was. He really, he was a light in the world. He had a lot of wisdom. He's written many books. He just kept discovering the power we have through our own mind and sense of spirituality, connection to the divine, which is all-knowing, to change our lives and to heal. People would come to be healed to his Institute of Philosophy. The names changed over the years. I'm just going to tell you that sometimes people wonder, we have centers for spiritual living, we have religious science, and we have science of mind. I'm going to tell you what I heard someone say the difference was, and I liked this. So Centers for Spiritual Living is our organization. It's an international organization, more than 400 centers around the world, probably more than that now. Religious science, I would consider our denomination. It's actually recognized like, if you said Presbyterian or something. So religious science is kind of our denomination. We probably should change that too, I don't know. Science of mind is what we teach. The science of mind, and the reason these things are called that way, even the science and religious science, is that we're expected to, science is you do experiments until you can always have the same result. We're invited to experience in our own life the power of our own mind, our own faith, our own belief, our embodying what we want to actually change our life, to heal our bodies, to bring prosperity, healthy relationships, to bring joy into our lives. So that's what we're all about. He studied world religions, and I'm just going to throw this quote on the screen. Thank you, Nate. Can you put my quote up there? This is from Buddhism, this kind of thing that he would read. Do not follow the advice of others. Rather, learn to listen to the voice within yourself. Your body and mind will become one, and you will realize the unity of all things. So you can see that the world's great philosophies and religions have this common thread running through them, that there is a unity of all things, and that we are in that, and in that we actually have power. He says religious science, someone asked him to come up with a description of religious science in 25 words or less, and he's very proud of this, Ernest Holmes. Religious science is a synthesis of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion applied to human needs and the aspirations of mankind. That's 25 words. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I want to say something. I think it's Mark Twain said about philosophy. He said, well, philosophy is whatever anybody thinks about anything. So, that's it. So I want to mention New Thought because you will hear New Thought tossed around. We are considered a New Thought center. New Thought is not that it's something new today, but rather that if we have a new thought, we can change our life. And so there are other denominations or organizations that would be considered part of New Thought. It's the same philosophy we teach here, basically. If you drew a big circle with that was New Thought, we'd be kind of part of it, as well as other, like Unity's another New Thought center, church, whatever. So what do we teach? I'm just going to go down the list about what we teach. First, we teach that God is all there is. Ernest Holmes starts in his statement of what we believe, which you will hear if you come to our new member orientation, which is going to be a lot of fun, and even if you're already a member, you should come. He starts off by saying, we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty. He says, not in that statement, but beyond another place, he says, this is how he describes it, infinite presence, rather than a being with a face in the form of a man sitting on a throne in heaven. God is intelligence or mind everywhere present throughout the universe. Is that hard to get? Intelligence or mind? Nope, people go, yeah, I got that. So God is that, intelligence and mind throughout the universe. It has infinite personalness. In other words, we have a personal sense of that presence. We can have, we may have, we should have, we could have, right? The amazing thing about the divine, about God, to me, is that whatever, we all have a different idea of what that is, don't we? I cannot get my arms around it completely. But what happens is that divine presence shows up according to our belief. There's a book I read when I was in ministerial school, and it's people in 5 different religions and their amazing experiences of God, which was everything from a Hindu really seeing the presence of one of the Hindu gods and eating food with this presence. So God will show up because we make it up. The universe just says, yes, that's what God is. Okay, so make up the biggest God you can. Start to relate to that, and you will find amazing things happen. I have the deepest sense of the divine when I'm still. And there's an expanded awareness that the mystics have had, a sense of oneness. It's not even something you can describe, but that's the goal, is to be that, to be there. So what else do we believe? We believe that we are divine. We believe that, I want to say, what's his name? Anyway, I'm skipping that. Original Blessing. Fox. What's his name? You guys know? Nope, a different Fox. Anyway, guy got excommunicated from the Catholic Church because he said, no, we shouldn't believe in original sin. We should believe in original blessing. Original blessing. Matthew Fox. Is that right? So, Ernest Holmes says, you belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. Can you get that? We're part of that. And we know that. We believe, so God, our relationship is we are the unique expression of the divine, and we believe in the power of prayer, the power of our minds to create our life. Jesus said to us, these and greater things than these shall you do, as he healed people. One of the things I did tell you about Ernest Holmes is that his mother had a heart condition when he was a young man, and he wanted her to be healed. And he studied the healings of Jesus, and he decided to pray the way Jesus did, to really affirm and know that she would be healed. And I want you to know she was healed. Went on to live another 50 years. It was a big part of his ministry, too. So this is what we believe. I have another slide. This is from Jesus in Mark 11:22 through 24. Have faith in God, I tell you the truth. If anyone says to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will happen, it will be done for him. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And that is what we believe. I want you to know there's no wrong way to pray. There is no wrong way to pray. But we have discovered a way to pray that is very powerful. I'm just going to briefly go over that. Probably many of you already know it, but it's just amazing how you take time. We have a 5-step prayer. The first step is simply to take a moment to be still and recognize that power and that presence. Number 1, God is all there is. Number 2, to recognize that we are one in that divine presence. Part of the energy, the life, the love that is God is our very nature. I am one with God. Number 3, we declare what it is we want as if it's already done. We create a vision, a picture, a mental image, a sense of, as powerfully as we can, when we're already on the other side of it, when we have the job, when we have the great relationship, when we have the problem solved, when we have all the abundance we could need. We feel as though we have it now. And Ernest Holmes would say that puts the fire in the prayer. That puts the fire. We call it spiritual mind treatment, which means I'm treating my own mind spiritually. But that third step, the first 2 steps are important. We need to get into that space of really knowing and believing we can do this. And then to really embody, affirm, and know what it is we want. And the last 2 steps, we take a moment to be grateful. And those were actually, I think they were added later, these last 2. Really, a lot of, if you read Ernest Holmes' things, he kind of does the first 3. But the fourth step is cool because when we feel grateful, it's thank you, thanksgiving, gratitude. We take a moment to feel grateful. We sort of imprint that fact that it's already done in us. So it's powerful to say, I'm feeling grateful, I'm thankful just for knowing this is so. I'm accepting it as done. And then, of course, the 5th step is I let go. Release this into the divine, dynamic activity of the universe itself, and it cannot help but happen. Cannot help it. The most important thing about this is how you feel when you have what you want. It's funny because if it's a job and you want your job to be better or something, you start imagining yourself being appreciated and doing the work that you love to do, and you just create that. Well, either your job where you are will shift, or maybe you'll get a new job. We don't always know. Sometimes the surprise comes. We don't always know the how. You can't tell God how it's going to happen. You want money? Don't say, I want Aunt Martha to die and leave me money, okay? Don't do that. I'm hoping for the big nugget, Rather just say, I know, I'm abundant. And who knows where it'll come from? Might be Uncle Ted. I don't know. I'm sorry, that was ridiculous. Okay, I apologize. Please forgive me. So we absolutely, that's our biggest, the foundation of our teaching. These 3 things: God is all there is, I am divine, and the power of our own word, our own spiritual mind treatments to create what we want in our lives. So now, going on to some other things that we believe. What do we believe about the Bible? Some people are uncomfortable with the Bible. They've been wounded by things in the Bible. And some have found great inspiration and guidance from the Bible. Some people turn to it. So we understand that the Bible is actually, Bible means library, bibliothèque, It's a library of 66 books written by men. They were often inspired men. If you look at the Old Testament, and what it is they were writing, and they weren't even writing, it was an oral tradition for literally hundreds of years. Have you ever played telephone or gossip? So you tell the story to make a point, or you tell the story of history, or you say a poem, and it gets passed on because it's just so interesting and so good. And there was great spiritual insight, but basically this Bible is made up of allegory to teach a spiritual or mystical meaning lesson. It's history. There's some history in there, actual history. It's drama. It's poetry. It's letters. You all know this. It's sermons. It's philosophy. It's songs. It's love stories. It's parables. So men have been inspired and written these, and finally somebody wrote them down. The first one that was written down in the New Testament was 70 years after Jesus passed away, as near as we can tell. And the Bible's been translated so many times in so many ways that a man has put his imprint on what the meaning is. You know, I'll tell you a little more about some of the things that have been misrepresented when we get to heaven and hell and sin and all that, okay? Right now we're on the Bible itself. So let's see, it's contradictory, and yet it holds great wisdom. And I've taught metaphysical, Old Testament and New Testament from a metaphysical, which means beyond the physical, not taking it literally, but then what could be a deeper meaning in my life? And it's interesting because the stories in the Bible, if you read a story, you say, what part am I playing in this? And I'll just tell you one little story about a group of ministers, Christian ministers, like 500 of them in a big room. The speaker was talking about one of the stories about the woman who touched the hem of Jesus' garment because she wanted to be healed, and the soldier who jumped to stop her. And he asked this group of pastors, so where do you see yourself in this story? Do you see yourself as the one wanting healing, wanting to touch that amazing presence by touching the garment? Do you see yourself as a soldier? Wait, don't touch that. That's the Son of God. You can't touch that. Well, so when he asked the first question, a lot of hands went up. Oh, yeah, I want to touch the hem. When he asked, are you the soldier? Some more hands went up. And when he asked, how many of you saw yourself as Jesus? 4 hands went up. And that's who we should be in that story. We should see ourselves having that presence, being amazing at healing things, being the place of love and joy and the peace of God. That's how we should see ourselves. This is what we teach. So when you look at those stories, I love some of the Bible stories. They have good lessons in them. Maybe I'll share them with you when I come back. Who knows? So let's see. What else do we teach? So what do we teach about Jesus? I already kind of touched on that. We don't see Jesus as the only Son of God. We see that he was teaching us we are all children of God. We are all divine. These and greater things than I do can you can do. So we endeavor to be the practice of Jesus rather than the worship of Jesus. We don't focus so much on his birth and his death. By the way, in the Bible, the word translated into virgin in our today's world simply means a young woman. You know, there wasn't some miracle there, just in case you're wondering and you've been thinking, that was magic. She was just a young woman, had a child. Joseph married her, we're glad. So bad. So, I love these stories. Okay, so anyway, he's our way shower because he did many amazing things, and we can do these as well. So how about the word sin? Now we get down to some of my favorite things. You've probably already heard this from me, but the word sin in the Bible is an archery term. It simply means to miss the mark. The idea of hell or being punished for our sins, well, I'm going to just stop there. So when we miss the mark, when we make a mistake, we do something wrong, which we do all along. And remember, we should fail bravely. I told you that, right, recently? We should invite and encourage ourselves to live life fully, and that might mean that we make mistakes. And if we're not making mistakes, we are not fully alive. So there are consequences. You make a mistake, something happens, but it's not usually a big deal. It certainly doesn't mean you're going to be punished. There's nothing out there punishing you when you make a mistake or do something wrong. We just have natural consequences. So that's what we teach about sin. Let's see. Heaven and hell. Okay, now we're going there. Pope John Paul II literally said that heaven and hell are not places you go after you die. Is anybody surprised? You don't have to raise your hand, but just notice. What? Because a lot of times I think what some traditional, especially Christian viewpoints have been that we suffer now so we can go to heaven later, right? I think it was just not a healthy way to look at life because it just isn't true. So what he says, what John Paul II said is, they're not places you go after you die. They are states of consciousness. They are states of mind. Those words literally. You can look it up on the internet. I do every time I say this, just in case it changes. It hasn't changed. He said it. But what we really know is that heaven and hell are right here, right now. When you look at the words in the Bible, in the Old Testament, the word for hell was Sheol, Shehol, in the English translation. And that was just a resting place. Why did it get interpreted as someplace negative that you would go? Maybe that's where the idea of purgatory came from. I don't know. So that's not Dante's Inferno, for sure. It's just a place to rest. You might need to rest if you make a mistake. I don't know. In the New Testament, the word for hell is Gehenna, and that was literally the dumping grounds outside of Jerusalem. It was a place, not down in the earth or on some faraway planet where there's fires burning all the time. Dante made that stuff up. So Gehenna is like an analogy. If you mess up, you might end up in the dump. That's all it is. Mess up, you do that, you're going to be in the dump. If I had written 4,000 years ago, or said 4,000 years ago, and then it was written 3,999 years later, if I had said, he's in a pickle, today we would probably imagine that back then they had these ginormous pickles that people could be in, right? So that's an analogy. And so is this idea of hell. As far as heaven goes, our wonderful teacher, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. Look it up. The kingdom of heaven is within. It is when we know our own spiritual self. It's being connected to the divine and feeling a greater sense of self because we're bigger than just this. We're one with the one. That's heaven, is living from that place of joy, peace, freedom, love. Okay, heaven, hell, sin, I got them. I want to talk about mysticism and psychism because Ernest Holmes is interesting. He studied everything, and he wrote The Science of Mind. We call it the textbook now, the first book called The Science of Mind. And in it, he has a lot of things about psychism, like kinesiology and telepathy, and he has sections on. I have a copy of that book, by the way. And so he was exploring all these things because they're real. We are connected. I'll tell you, I sent an email. I'm on the doctoral committee for the Centers for Spiritual Living, and I sent an email to the doctoral committee because we're going to have a meeting on Monday, and said, hey, I'm sending this from Edward because we need to look at these things in our meeting. And then after I sent it, I looked at an email from Michelle Madrano, who's the chair of that committee, and she was telling me I should do that. And I said, oh my gosh. You know, there's only one mind. There's only one mind. Haven't you had that happen where you turn on your phone and somebody calls you right after you turn it on, or you have a sense you should call someone, and sure enough you should? We are really connected to people. And there's only one mind. And the closer we are in relationship, the more deeply we're connected in that way. We have a sense that someone's okay or not okay. And we can tune into that. So Ernest Holmes explored the psychic realms to some extent, and to a great extent, the mystic realm. So mysticism is those people that have had the experience of the divine. They've really known God, and they share some things in common. They always express that this experience of the divine is a greater expanded sense of self and connection with all of life. It is also profound love. My first time walking in the fog when I had this expanded consciousness, a sense of the divine, I was overwhelmed, and it was love, but you can't even put words to it. It was a sense of oneness with everything. That's what we're going for. The thing about the mystic connection, and people channel and do mystical psychic readings, and it's going through a human mind. There's a filter there. And I go for the divine mind. I go straight to God. It's fun to play with that stuff, and sometimes mystic or psychics are tuned into you in some ways, but oftentimes they can create a self-fulfilling prophecy if they tell you something. And I think most of them are good, and they try to create positive self-fulfilling prophecies, because what we believe is what we will experience. And if we're told, yeah, you're going to find the right woman or man, then you're going to go around believing that, and guess what? You will. So that's the kind they should be doing. And I know that's really true out there, but what he really teaches is that that's not what we're after. We're after that. In science of mind, that's not what we do. We go for that personal experience of the divine. We go for living from that sense all the time. Another thing we believe is life is eternal, and I have to tell you, I was surprised because I didn't know. I don't know what happens, but we have a sense. We have a sense that there's something beyond that, don't we? Yeah. So what is that? Well, Ernest Holmes clearly writes that we are eternal. That when we pass to the other side, we will know and be known. We will see and know our loved ones, and they will be welcoming us. They will know us. And that kind of blew my mind away, you know. So I've come to believe that's true because I know people who had a near-death experience. They call it near-death, but they actually died, you know, and came back, and they went someplace. One of my cousins in Montana had a son who was riding a tractor and struck by lightning, and he died. And my cousin fell into a crevice, crushed his chest, and he had this near-death experience. He died, and he saw his son, who was 14 at the time he died. He had other children too, and his son literally told him, "I'm fine, Dad. And you need to go back to this community, but you need to quit worrying about me. I'm fine." And so then he came back into his body and heard all that. And that's not the only story I've heard. You've probably heard them too. But this does tell us that there's something beyond this physical life. That we, our spirit, our soul is eternal. Finally, I wanted to say, we believe in the power of love. Baboon. People who have a sense of the divine and their own divinity have a tendency towards selflessness. It's more about the other person than it is about the self. They have, as I said earlier, they have an extended sense of themselves and an intimate connection with all of life. Can you just feel an intimate connection with all of life? They are kind. They are generous. They are non-judgmental. Are we ready for that? Let's be non-judgmental. Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt, doing the best they can. They have an inner tranquility, and they have causeless joy. They're just lights that are going on. You know some of these, I would call them avatars of the Buddha. When people ask the Buddha, "What are you?" he said, "I am awake." That's it. I'm awake, and yet being in this presence changed lives. I'm going to end with, maybe I read this to you already, but I love this one. It talks the other talks. It says, "There is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer." Let's be the presence of love. There's no disease that enough love will not heal. No door that enough love will not open. No gulf that enough love will not bridge. No wall that enough love will not be thrown at. There's no sin, remember, mark return, that's the mark. There's no missing the mark, and enough love will not redeem, which means being brought back to wholeness and innocence. It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. If only you could love enough, you would be the happiest and most powerful being in the world. Are you ready for that? Okay, I'm going to ask you again. Think about it for a minute. Are you ready for that? Okay, you know, I have a whole other stuff to say, but I think that's enough for today. So would you just join me by turning within to the presence, the power, the love that is the core. That is the core of my being, the true nature of each of us. We are amazing. We are holy. We are secret. We are the place of love, a place of the power of God. I think of the nature of us. And so from no one now, I speak the word presence. The person here and those we love and not just accepting that there's guidance in all of our lives. That our way is well lit and made easy for this human world. That we can be guided by the guidance of our now. that as we stand in love, our relationships are better. Our relationships are even better than ever before. That as we stand in the power of God, abundance is all in God. It flows to us, whatever the need is, it is natural resources, known and unknown. But the gifts we give to the world in our work, in our creativity, they touch lives and we appreciate it. So let's take a moment to know that we are inspired, walk the spiritual beings in the world, and we love the presence. And all that presence, it brings light to the dark places and awakens the sleepers. So as we read together, we take a moment of gratitude for our precious time together, for the light and shine of your life. Knowing this is simply the way it is. So thank God for divine wisdom. It's all good. You join me as we affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Woohoo! Praise God. I just want to say Michael is right on my website. I was wrong, but I think I needed to be there. I jumped in there.
I will trust in the Spirit. I will open my heart. I will always remember the truth of God that has brought me this far. So lead me on this path of life, and every step I take leads me home to a place where all I know is love and grace. Lead me on this path of life. Shining in the darkness, I will pray the truth. I will honor you and that I see in you. Lead me on this path of life. In every step I take in faith, leads me on to a place where all I know is love and grace. Lead me on this path of light as the breathe I become. Lead me one with the light and the dawn. Lead me one as the breathe I become. Complete me one with the light and the love. Complete me one. Lead me on this path of life. In every step I take in faith,
that the perfect song? That's where you can look at something. Maybe you're both, right? What are you saying? So Reverend Catholic. Guess what time it is? From the ushers. Yay, ushers. Thank you for your service. So this is our courtesy. So I just want to take a moment for us all to be grateful for the flow of abundance in our own lives. We know that as we give, it goes right back to us. We are in a great circulation because abundance. And let's be there. And so we can only be grateful for this community as we give our gifts, because our gifts are flowing to create what we do and touch lives. Bringing healing to this community. So let's just take a moment. Where's your gift? We take a moment to bless these gifts today as we recognize it. Knowing that these gifts go forth, touching lives, transforming lives, bringing healing and restoring lives. I know through the rest of it, return to us. Will you join me in the affirmation? Ready? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need.
So I do have some announcements. So back to service, I'm calling it everything you ever wanted to know about our center or philosophy. I already covered a lot of it, so it'll be a short meeting, right? But we have refreshments, so just take a quick break, come in, get something, sometimes maybe the community priorities. And we have board members and practitioners who are going to be participation. You know more about the leadership, and also we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves. Next week, after service, we're having a hot lunch, some great opportunities to share. We're going to be listening as an act of love. It's not happening connecting to the heart. This is sponsored by our diversity and inclusion community. New Friend Events process that's inspired by the Human Library movement and historic story. They have little questions for us. We sit in small groups and take us to our lunch and just ask them each other questions individually. Oh yes, the selection committee. So we create a selection committee. We'll go through the process of training. Profile who are video. They just do look at all the candidates' packets that come in and their resumes, and they'll watch the video to see if they like how to go. Speak to us as a candidate, and choosing who's going to come for candidate position, organizing computer and they do workshops and talk. So, you know that meeting. Or a couple practitioners that really want some help. Maybe 8 to 10. It's a lot. Let me know. So far, I have gift of ears growing over gracefully by diligence she strives. The women's ministry needs, oh, that one. Yeah, this one's 17. As long as when it's 16, the link is in the end. Or you can just and the microphone digital is in there. Community connection is Wednesday evenings. If you're looking at our newsletter, I understand that. Oh, it must have got the community connection on the right side. That's a Zoom link. Nope, Zoom link at the very bottom. And that's the insult practitioner dailies that are on those movies. It's fabulous. And we are looking to see good services as well. We are looking for someone to help Zach. You can see our brother Nate is here. Let's say thank you to Zach and Nate. Thank you, God. Because of them, we can broadcast live and we can also also, the Sunshine Community met last week. I want you to know it was a great meeting. Many of you were there. It was fun. If you didn't make our meeting and you're still interested, you're still sign up for the Sunshine Community. Send out birthday cards and friends and reach out to them. Sign up. And I think that's it. I'm going to invite the practitioners to come up. Before we sing out of these, I want you to know these practitioners are amazing. They are here for you. They are the healing arm of our church, our center. And after service, some of them will be sitting out here in the chairs, and if you would like to have anything change in your life, reveal something new, something you want to get rid of, right? Come and speak at one event for a 1-minute miracle. Yeah, look at that. So amazing. Also, other ways you can have practitioners and spiritual mind treatments working for you. Sell a prayer request in half of the room. We all get a copy of that and we pray for you all week long. We know everybody's in want. We all have to do something, right? Another way is they are available to sit down with you for spiritual support. If something's going on, if you would like to work with them, they can help through. Give you some listen. But they will just speak in our but I can see one of them too. It's very good for this spiritual support. Guides, prayers, all that. I think that's it. I forgot to mention that they asked if people would like to start a choir, which means she's in the dining room getting her food ready. So see that Clark, prepared to see you choir. You can see me too, and I'll pass it off. So, okay, ready? Release the light.
There was a time in my life when I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was it. Now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you have to let it go. And this is what you have to say. Come on. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run in my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the spirit of my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
And so just repeat these words after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my heart. Love is in my body. And love is in all of my affairs. And life is great. And so it is. Have a wonderful day.